Hi everyone, welcome to the third class of Inside Chinese Culture. This week, we'll take a close look at the uniqueness of traditional Chinese architecture. In this class, we'll first get to know the general features of traditional Chinese architecture, the philosophical ideas behind the traditional Chinese architecture, and after that, two greatest examples of traditional Chinese architecture will be introduced in details, and we will conclude the class with a brief comparison of Chinese architecture and Western architecture in the final section, East meets West. Now, are you ready to embark on a splendid journey of traditional Chinese architecture with me? Chinese architecture is as old as Chinese civilization. China has a unique and time-honored architectural tradition dating back to 2,500 years old. Traditional Chinese architecture enjoys a long history of development and has created many architectural miracles, including but not limited to the magnificent imperial palaces, solemn and breathtaking imperial tombs, as well as delicate and elegant landscape gardens. Chinese people have developed and attained great accomplishments in building materials, artistic styles, and layout, from which we can see a combination of technology, artistic skills, and aesthetic taste. During its 2,000 years of development, traditional Chinese architecture gradually formulated its unique system, coupled with considerable progress in urban planning, garden design, and house construction techniques. As a large country, the architectural styles of different regions in China vary greatly in characteristic and functions. From the Siheyuan courtyard in the north, to the stilted bamboo houses in the south, and the circular Fujian Tulou in the east. From the palaces with exquisite roofs to the elegant gardens, traditional Chinese architecture has a style of its own. Despite the diversities of traditional Chinese architectures in terms of styles, structures, and materials used, there are some most prominent features of traditional Chinese architecture. Now, let's start with the first topic of this unit, features of traditional Chinese architecture. Chinese architecture has long been a landmark of Chinese culture. There are certain features common to Chinese architecture regardless of specific regions or uses. Number one, hierarchical layout. All through the Chinese history, the societies have been strongly hierarchical in line with the teachings of Confucius, with the emperor or king at the top, parents served by the children in the tradition of filial piety, and the servants or slaves at the bottom. The ruler of the nation aimed to promote their status by having the biggest and the most imposing dwellings. Their choice of layout of their compounds was not only due to practical reasons. The design and the layout tended to reinforce social and religious ideas and the dominant status and role of rulers. Reflecting the traditional social code, the emperor, as the ruler of the country, would live in the most important room in the palace. Their children lived in the middle section, and the less important relatives, servants, and guards lived in the smallest quarters on the south. Likewise, the head of the family, usually the grandparents, live in the biggest and tallest room in the courtyard. This hierarchical layout used the aim to reflect and preserve the social order. The second feature, bilateral symmetry. The emphasis on symmetry is probably one of the most prominent features of Chinese traditional architecture, which connotes a sense of grandeur. Bilateral system is found everywhere in Chinese architecture, from palace complexes to humble farmhouses. The main buildings would stand on the north-south axis, and then the secondary buildings were usually located on two sides in east-west pairs. The style accords with the aesthetic pursuit for harmony, balance, and symmetry that date from Shang Dynasty. One notable exception is the design of gardens, which tend to be as asymmetrical as possible. Like Chinese scroll paintings, the principle underlying the garden design is to create an enduring flow, to let the viewers wander and enjoy the garden without prescription, as in nature itself. Number 3, use of timber framework in buildings. Wood was used extensively in Chinese traditional buildings. Wooden framework was the mainstay of traditional Chinese buildings. Wood was preferred for most traditional architectural structures, from the halls of the Forbidden City to common houses. Paintings and carvings were added to the architectural work to make it more beautiful and attractive. Wooden structure is more capable of withstanding earthquakes, making the buildings resilient to earthquake and storms. But it has its own limitations. Wood is vulnerable to fire. Within the wooden structure, walls serves as the separation of rooms without bearing the weight of the whole house, which is unique to China. It also allows for reconfiguration, expansion, and reconstruction if the building were damaged. Number 4, Feng Shui design principle. Feng Shui dictates how to locate, orient, and build houses for the best effect. It accords with Taoist ideals of harmony. These design ideals were thought to promote the occupant's health, wealth, and happiness. Chinese people from the ancient times have been good at finding harmony between man and nature. The buildings were built by following the principle of returning to nature, making full use of natural conditions, and trying every effort to put the layout, shape, and color in harmony with the surroundings. Feng Shui, a special Chinese tradition in architecture as well, usually linked the entire process from site selection, designing, construction, and interior and exterior decorating. Feng Shui combines the trinity of heaven, earth, and human, and seeks harmony between environment and human. Now let's summarize what we have learned so far. What are the general features of Chinese traditional architecture? They are, first, hierarchical layout. Second, bilateral symmetry. Number 3, timber frame structure. Number 4, Feng Shui design principle. Here we come to the end of the first part, the general features of traditional Chinese architecture. Thank you.